Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mortgage Tech Talks. As always, I'm your host, Tom. Massimo is with me again, looking great. Couldn't even tell that you had a major surgery 2 months ago. What's really exciting about this conversation for me today is our guest. People watching, you'll see him on your screen, but people listening will reveal shortly. This guest actually I've never had a full conversation with before, only a couple emails and messages on LinkedIn. So this is going to be a brand new conversation for me. Heard great things about the guy. He's a titan in the industry. He's had a lot of success in a lot of different ventures. From what I know of him and the content I've consumed related to him, is full of wisdom. And so we're gonna try and extract some of that wisdom today and see where that takes us. So without any further ado, Ryan, why don't you take it away? I always like let our guests do just a little bit of an intro, kind of the elevator pitch, the 30 seconds about who you are and what you're all about. Yeah, I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, love it. Thanks, Tom. Massimo, thanks for having me. So Ryan Wiley here, was a broker for 15 years in Ontario, moved out to Kelowna 3 years ago, brokered even while I was still here, ran my book in Ontario. While I was doing that, I also own a company called the VIP Club, which is a database marketing company, not your traditional CRM type business. And then I was dabbling in coaching. I always knew I wanted to get out of coaching, out of brokering at some point, and went full time approximately about 2 years ago into the coaching training side. And now I have a training company with my business partner, Jason Henneberry, and he's my business partner in VIP Club. And now I'm all in, man. I burned all boats.
Yeah.
No more brokering.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Did you read
Yeah.
that book, Burn the Boats? Who is it? Matt Ridley, I think, or was it?
I didn't. I just love
Okay.
taking lines of stuff from stuff
Yeah.
I hear, and then I use it as
Yeah.
if it's mine. Yeah.
And co-opt it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
So
Well, it's funny. We know Jason pretty well, actually. We've had a ton of conversations with him, and it's funny that we're having you out before we have Jason out. Hopefully, he's not listening and gets jealous. But Jason, if you are, we'll get you out soon. We'll have a good chat. But I think maybe a good place to start, I'm curious about, is just that point you made about always wanting to get out of brokering. I mean, a lot of the folks listening, a lot of the folks we've talked to say, I start their career in brokering. I think it's a great place to start. But a lot of people have that kind of mindset saying, hey, you know what, maybe I want to upgrade. I want to start, having that more brokerage level. Maybe I'll start my own brokerage and have agents under me. Or maybe a lot of people we talk to is saying, hey, I'm going to start as a broker, but eventually, I want to maybe do more of a tech play, right? Because, that's kind of the frame that we come in on. So what was it for you, I guess, when you kind of say that, oh, eventually I knew I wanted to get out of it? Was there a particular reason? And did you always see it being kind of this coaching tech kind of duo that you have going right now? Or talk to me a little bit about that thinking
yeah.
or that.
Yeah, you know what? Same thing, man. I thought about building a team. I went down that path a little bit, and I just said, this isn't for me. I didn't want to manage a bunch of other brokers.
Sure.
Really, I was still running. I was focusing on running my own book. I just don't believe you can run a really good team and also run your own book, because your own book takes priority. And so
Always right.
I always
Yeah.
felt I'd be letting other people down on the team if it wasn't my number one priority. And
Fair enough.
I'll be honest, 4 or 5 years ago, just I didn't want to get out of bed anymore. It's a grind. And I had a really unique business model. My model, I was humming along there for a while, doing 50, 60 million, working 12 hours a
Wow.
week.
Wait,
So
12 hours a week or a day?
12 hours a week.
Let's back it up a second. Yes. Yeah. 50 to 60 mil at 12 hours a week.
12 hours a week. And that's where I
Okay.
started my first podcast called The 12-Hour Broker.
Oh,
It came from that. So my model, and a lot of people don't understand, they don't believe. And when I actually bring them in and I show them the model, they're like, and then I had some people come and work with me, and I groom them, train them on the industry, and they're like, I get it now. I get it. Our niche was showing the average homeowner how just buying one investment property, just one, and holding it for 10 years would allow them to be mortgage free. They could sell it, pay capital gains, exit costs, be mortgage free. We had so many people in the GTA that are sitting there in free money that the real estate gods just sprinkled on them. Here you go. You got free equity. You get free equity, tax free money.
It's like
And
Oprah, right? Just
it's like
throwing
Oprah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
sit on this, everyone has this equity and everyone's grinding away to pay their mortgage off. Let's go show them how to put that money to good use, buy one property that's cash flow neutral. And then in theory, if they wanted, sell it. You get the uptick on appreciation, the mortgage pay down. So you get a guaranteed rate of return there, pay capital gains, and then pay off your principal residence. So that was the hook we used, was how to be mortgage free in 10 years. And we had .com. We'd run a webinar based model. So it was a one to many. And then every deal we were doing 2 deals, and they're in the GTA. So you get the $400,000 or $500,000 investment mortgage, plus you get the refi, $1 million mortgage here. So when you package that up, and we're only dealing with one application, one set of documents, $1.5 million
You get
in
the double dip.
mortgages.
Yeah.
And then we would arbitrage our book back and forth. We put everyone to variable rates, and we'd arbitrage them back between TD and Scotia like a ping pong match. So if you're at prime minus 30, when rates went to prime minus 70 across the street, we would present an opportunity to you. We'd pay your 3-month penalty, your exit costs. We'd re-am you to 30, flip you over, make back all those savings, plus an additional year or 2 off your mortgage because of the arbitrage. And we would just keep monitoring that. So between that and the buy your one investment property, people would start referring their neighbors, their coworkers. Then they'd want to buy property number 2 or number 3. And it morphed into this thing. And then I had a part-time fulfillment person, and they were working 10 to 15 hours a week, and they'd run all the paperwork. So I never had to deal with paperwork, applications, underwriting. We only used 3 lenders, Scotia, TD, and MCAP. So I never had to know other people's guidelines.
Didn't have to know the products, didn't have to stay up to date.
If it didn't fit there, we would refer it out and take a 50-point referral fee. You had to fit.
You had a good model going.
Yeah. It was.
Doesn't sound like something you want to leave.
Yeah, I mean that's the well, that's where my mind was going. I was like, this guy had it made. What's going on here?
I was a coach.
Yeah.
I was essentially a coach for my clients, and it started to wear on me. I'd have the same conversations over and over, and I could see myself wanting to go teach this model or a version of it. And I started to see lack of training in the Canadian mortgage industry. A lot of brokers wearing 12 different hats in any given day. And I said, I feel like that's the next phase of my life. So I ran my book up to just under 100 million a year. And then I left after my best year ever and went all into coaching. And so, it was quite the jump. It's quite the jump.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No kidding. It's pretty interesting. And I think, one thing that a theme that's come up like a bunch of times on this podcast already is kind of picking that niche. And I don't know if that's something you deal with a lot in your coaching now, but yeah, we've had people, like very successful people doing hundreds of millions of mortgages come on the pod, and they're just like, I've picked a niche, right? Like I've gone so focused, I'm doing real estate or I'm investors, right? Or whatever the niche might be. And they go so focused and so deep on it. I just wanted to kind of highlight that because it's, I mean, Mass, how many conversations we've done, like 20 episodes of Mortgage Tech Talks, and I feel in at least 5 of them, this theme has come up of really kind of picking your channel, picking your lane, and really sticking to it and diving into it too, right? Where like, I think a lot of people think, oh, if I pick this narrow niche or this channel, there's not going to be a lot of business there. But what most people find is they find this narrow channel, and then it kind of opens up, right? And it sounds like you had the same experience.
What is the saying? It's like the riches are in the niches, or the niches, depending on how you say niche, I guess. But it kind of destroys the saying. But yeah, I mean, we even saw that in our business. We used to be generalists, or at least I did, and then we niched down into mortgage, and here we are. So, and the fact that you went online too with like a domain, like a lot of brokers don't even tout about their domain. Our last episode was actually talking about having a website and having a domain and being online first, and some are trying to be that. It's interesting you went that way.
Were you online first, Ryan, or it was just more of that was your kind of page that you would refer people to, or how did you think about your online presence? Because
I ran live webinars. I didn't have social media. I had an email list that I'd been nurturing for a long time. I ran live webinars with referral partners. So what I would do is I created this webinar. It was about an hour, and it was showing people how to just buy their first investment property and all the benefits that came with it. I pulled out some hooks out of it. I used that for my marketing. I'd get people there, and then I would have it on a custom URL, a recorded version, that any conversation I would have with someone in a discovery call, at a party, a friend of a friend, I'd say, just go to mortgagefreeintenyears.com, go watch that. And then after they sit and watch it for an hour, and it's all about breaking down the objections around it, then come back to me. And so I'd let that do the work instead of me having these one-to-one conversations with people. And then I would find referral partners who liked the idea, and I would build them each their own landing page. And I would have the behind the scenes, the webinar itself was my hour webinar that I did over here a month to 3 months ago. The landing page was me and the realtor on a split screen like this. And it was about us giving a 1-minute video of why that realtor's clients should go watch the webinar. And then I would buy the realtor their own link, and it would be like investwithcarl.com. So I would give them the link, give them the landing page. It's branded to them on the front. The webinar behind the scenes was all me. And I would just have these people then go watch, and I knew where they came from. And then I'd be like, hey, Carl, and I notify him through Zap when someone signed up for his webinar, then he could follow up. And I would give him these tools to these. And I had 17 of those going at one time for realtors.
Wow.
Just leveraging the one webinar I had.
No, I think, Massimo, I mean, we hear it all the time. People, website, and I want to go down this SEO route, and I want to, get it super branded and that. And I don't know. I mean, that's maybe part of the reason maybe you asked, but we haven't seen, we know some people do it. Like we work with Butler and he does that, but that's a tough thing because he's buying down rates and he's competing and there's not a ton of loyalty. It's, you have
He's been in SEO since like 2008.
Right.
It's been a slog. Yeah.
Well, he's got other pain points. That's a sweatshop.
Yes.
And Ron will say that. Like it's
he's managing. I interned there in university, so I was in it, and I could hear I could hear the sweat and the whips. So
it's right. Yeah. That's not a healthy model most of us could stomach through. To be honest, I don't know a lot of people who are playing the SEO game, even like a Google ad game, Facebook ad like that, are getting cold traffic from online.
So tough.
Nurturing it. And then even when you get them onto a call, are you even good enough on the call? Is your response time quick enough? Do you ask the right questions? How are you building trust? If it's not around price and product and interest rate, well, then what else are you pitching to them? Like, that's a slippery slope, man. I've always liked the referral-based game.
But the value you were giving those referral partners is huge. I rarely hear that. Like some of our brokers are like, I send them a report on where the deals are at that they sent me, which is good. But giving them their own landing page to help them sell their services is unique. I honestly haven't heard that. I don't know if I've ever heard someone doing that, to be honest.
Awesome. I mean, so to your point though, Ryan, it's like when you do the online game, every part has to be dialed in, right? You're building like this bridge, and it's like, okay, the keyword has to be right, and the amount I bid has to be right, and then my landing page has to be right, and then my response time has to be right, and then my intro call has to be my copy,
your follow-up sequence, your timing on, like it's like that's not for the average mom and pop shop running a mortgage business in Canada. That's so far over their head.
It's tough. It's tough. Yeah, because if any one of those things break on that bridge you're building, the whole thing falls through, right? Whereas your model, there was one chink in the chain, right, which was the trust that person had in the realtor, right? And that was.
And we'd host live events too, so I would offer that up to a realtor live. And it wasn't until COVID came around that we transitioned to webinars. But we were doing live, so I did 70 or 80 live ones in the GTA, and so the realtors would then they'd get a room and they'd fill it with their own clients, with a team or a brokerage. They'd bring wine and cheese and snacks. And I would show up and speak and do a live presentation, the exact same webinar, and then hand out sheets to get people to give their info. And then I'd build my email list, and then we'd follow up. And then we transition that to a live webinar model with a recorded webinar portion of it as well. And we just had to evolve with COVID, and I'm glad we did. But it was awesome. And I did the same webinar for 6 years. Exact same webinar.
Can I still find it? If I went to that URL, would it still be there?
That URL's down, but if you went on YouTube, if you went on YouTube and you just searched Ryan Wiley mortgage free in 10 years, there's something on there.
No kidding. All right. I'll take a look.
Find it. And you could
cool. Very cool.
And sit through an hour of me,
chatting about.
But we got it down to a science where we knew that 1 out of every 7 people that showed up to the webinar would be a deal within 3 to 6 months. We had so much data on that. So then when we went to referral partners, we said, hey, if you can get 60 people to register, we know 30 of them are going to show up. That's going to turn out to be 4 ends for you in the next 3 to 6 months because we've got the data. So now if we chunk it down to those simple points, talking points, makes it a lot easier for them to, I just got to get and so they start hustling to get people to the thing because they know they're going to get paid in 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, no, Yeah, that's interesting. Did you, I guess, kind of starting to bring it back to the tech side of it, when you talk about these things like the stats and looking back and doing these types of things, like how important was that from the get-go, or was that something that you kind of stumbled into, right? Was it like, were you like from the get, oh yeah, no, I gotta have this super nailed down every part, or was it kind of you started doing it and you're like, oh crap, I gotta go back and start maybe doing some of these things? How did you kind of approach that?
Yeah, it was to that point. We just said we were having these conversations about buying real estate one-on-one with all our clients, and it was very time consuming and getting both decision makers on calls and breaking down their objections and handling them in a way. It was, so we said we've got to do a one-to-many. We have to do a one-to-many webinar style or seminar style. So we did that, worked really well. And then it wasn't until people started asking us, well, how many deals do you get? How many, to see if it's worthwhile?
Good question.
So,
good question. Yeah.
I'm like, wow, okay. So we'd go back and see how many people registered. And we started to see very common traits there of what was going on. The numbers were very consistent along all of our presentations. Yeah.
Cool. Very
So
cool.
that helped out.
Did you like sell your book of business? I know some brokers or agents are interested in that stuff, and we've talked about it before, because systems like this and niches like this are more sellable or interesting to people.
Yeah, I partnered a gentleman, his name's Craig. I trained him in the industry, so he was like my right-hand guy. So he sort of just took over the book. We had a deal. Sure, he had the webinar. He's done the webinar too, but I was the business. Unfortunately, a lot of us, we are the business. I was still hands-on in a lot of things. And I also turned the book over quite a bit. I got out during COVID when rates started to go up. Prior to that, we had squeezed out so every opportunity out of our book we could. Every 95% of our book was variable. So the last 2 years, the book has only been worth so much. There's been people reaching out that he's been handling, but there hasn't been opportunities to refi because people were either underwater, cash flow was tight. We just refied them into a 1.25 variable and sucked out some money for invest. They're like more like, how do I get my cash flow back in line? Because interest rates are 5, 6, 7% now. That's a tough one to sell, man. I've seen a couple models work. It's your business is probably a 1x.
Yeah,
top,
it's one. Yeah, I was gonna say something like that.
No one's gonna cut you a check up front.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing thing. So I didn't know. We didn't really know what we were doing. I just knew I needed to make money for the family, which I did. Yeah. This was the model. It was working, so we kept doing it. And then I eventually said, I want to go focus on VIP club training, coaching, and go over there. And the only way I could do it was if I just stopped brokering altogether.
Burn the boats.
I had to.
Yeah. I think for so many businesses you have to. I say there's basically two types of businesses, successful businesses, I think. One is the 10x business, right? Where it's like Elon Musk learning how to land a rocket ship, right? Where it's like, it's so amazing, people like just can't help but buy it. And that's the rarity, right? And it's like when the first guy invented the wheel, it's like everyone was buying the wheels because it was so good. And then there's the other type of business, which is by far the majority, which is, bit of a grind for sure, something you have to be fully dedicated to, and it's a million small decisions, right? It's like going in, and the only way I think you can effectively make a million small decisions effectively is if you do that, burning the boat. So I guess talk to us a little bit about VIP Club. Like, how did you stumble into that? Was that like a little bit of overlap with your brokering and you were like, holy crap, this is a thing? Or was it something that you and Jason kind of thought of and just kind of made a reality? What was that process there?
Yeah, what? It was Scott Peckford built it.
I think I knew
right.
that.
He built it. He used it for his mortgage company. It was his business. It was manually. It's all around giving out contests to people and getting engagement and then interacting with them after they answer a question.
It's a great service. Yeah, we have a ton of our clients using it and they love it.
It's one of those things. And then so I bought it off him maybe 5 years ago because I liked it so much. I said, can I just buy it? And he said, yeah. And then we were kind of clunking along.
So why, Ryan? Like, why did you want to buy it? Like, was this that stepping stone for you? And was it always going to be tech, or what did you see in that?
No, it was, I liked the product and I could see he wasn't giving it the attention it needed.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just asked the question, would you want to sell it? And he was like, sure, sell it.
That's
so
nice.
cut him a check and took it on with the staff. And then I realized there's a lot of stuff here I don't know. There's a lot of there's a tech behind, and it was kind of built kind of rickety too. And I was like, damn, we're layered on top of MailChimp with our own tech platform. And it was like, okay. And then I didn't know Jason personally. I'd talked to him a little, but I knew he was an operator. I knew he builds things. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, do you want to, about a year and a half, 2 years in, do you know what the VI? He's like, yeah, I tried to buy it off Scott, but you already bought it. And I'm like, okay. I go, well, I'll give you half the company if you just come in and take over like running the tech and operating it, and I'll do the sales and marketing. And he's like, he looked at the numbers and everything. He's like, yep, I'm in. So he came in, and now we've got it to, we're over $1 million a year of revenue and humming along, and it still isn't getting the attention that it needs. It's still like this side thing that could go 18 other ways in so many industries, yet alone just this one. There's such a play there. There's so many little things we could do with it, but we're just kind of slowly just humming along. We're not doing massive marketing campaigns. We've never paid for a client on any of our stuff that we do right now. Strategy Hub, which has over 450 members, and VIP Club, which has over 700 people. We've never paid $1 for any acquisition. It's all been organic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, similar-ish, I guess. I'm sure you drew some parallels to what you had before, but it's the same point, right? It's just, those organic type leads, they're cheaper, sure, maybe, but they're also just way stickier, right? They're people who want to do it. So what was that decision for you? Because a lot of, brokers sometimes we talk to, a lot of people we talk to want to start tech things. It's a big theme. And I feel that a lot of brokers we talk to, they might wear the same hat that you have, which is, they're very strong in sales and marketing. They have a passion for tech. They see tech systems. They see value in it, but they might not have gone through that experience you had, which is, you pull back the magic curtain or open Pandora's box or whatever analogy you want to choose, and you realize, there's this whole infrastructure that's underneath that has to be dealt with. So yeah, you kind of talked about that. So how important was it, did you think, bringing in someone like Jason, who was that operator, who understood these, like 50%, half the companies, that's huge. That's a huge piece of it, right? And so was that a decision you thought a lot about, or it seemed like a no-brainer, or how did you kind of...
Well, I went down my own path. I went and, did some coaching with Dan Martel in his SAAS Academy.
We're doing that right now.
We're in it right now.
Yeah, we're in right.
Yeah, and that's, and Dan, me and Jason met him personally we paid for half a day of his time a couple months back in April, or actually it was about a year ago now. He lives in Kelowna, so wrote him a handsome check to sit with him for 4 hours. And I coach his kid in soccer. So
there you go. Okay.
Yeah. So I went down that, and when I got into that world, I was like, okay, I realize I'm out of my, like, this is way over my pay grade. I got into SAT, and I go, this is like a thing. I need someone else. I need someone in the mortgage industry, someone I'm comfortable and can trust, someone that's done it before. My Rolodex isn't massive. So I went with a couple of short lists I had. Jason was one where we really hit it off. Brought him in, and I just wanted to get out of his way. And he came in and changed. He cleaned up so much. It took him a lot of work. Cleaned up so much. And then even to this day, he still runs the tech there. He runs the development team, although it's pretty lean, but he runs that. And he runs a lot of the operational stuff, the books, everything. And I just focus on trying to get people in and train them how to use the product.
Yeah.
But yeah, I realized I have always said that I already know what I don't know. I'm not going to try and figure it out. I'm going to try and find somebody else and make it worth their while. And then we can just get to where we want to go faster. I'd rather have a smaller piece of a bigger pie.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And we went through a similar thing. And I think Dan actually talks about this. I saw Instagram posts from him, all his Ferraris and all this stuff.
That's the goal for this podcast, is to get Dan Martel on here.
Yeah. But he was saying, like, a lot of individual owners, they get stuck at like $300,000-$400,000. They aren't conscious of what their weaknesses are or whatever, as you are. But then once you get another operator in there that balances that strength or weakness, you can get up to the 2 mil. And then he says, okay, to get past the 2, to get to the 10, now you got to get people in the company that are kind of like mini operators that are self-sufficient. But I think that's an important point with a lot of brokers. Like, a lot of them, refuse to team up and just kind of say, I can do it all. And they do the docs and they do everything. They don't even hire assistants and all of that. Like, you should know where your strengths and weaknesses are and fill those for sure.
To your point, I've seen a lot of brokers who they get an idea for a SaaS company.
Exactly.
And then they throw out a minimal viable product around it, and they throw it out, and they don't really know what they're doing, and they don't stick with it, and they're kind of in over their head. But they're also running their book. So they're running their book. They're jumping from a discovery call onto a call with the developer who may or may not be in India, and trying to figure out that. And then they're trying to learn the lingo here. And it's a completely different world, the SaaS world, than B2C sales over here. Completely different. And so there are different skill sets involved. And I can see it. I can see the train wreck coming a mile away. There's a lot of brokers who have lot of really good ideas, but man, it's like you either get the help or you got to let something go. You can't be running your own book and your own team. And then, because your other team and your book and like, if you have help over there, they also see what you're doing. People don't realize that they see they see you're not focused on this, which is feeding their family. So now they see the leader of the book over here that they're relying on and they're believing in you, but they start to see your focus go over here and they can sense that and see it. And now the morale of the team goes down a little bit. And then like,
why am I working past 5 when I know the minute the clock strikes 5, he's on a call with the developer or whatever it is. It's he's
got one foot out the door.
You got one foot out the door, right? And
I mean, I don't easy exit, which is not easy. And then you see Henneberry, Jason, who built Lender Spotlight and came up with an idea. And then he had a really good marketing plan for it. He went and got a tech guy to build it, which was awesome. But then his marketing idea was, let's go get brokerages. Let's advertise it for $50 a seat. Yeah. But let's go to the broker owners and offer them for a fraction. And let's get all their users on, all their brokers on. And the brokers think they're getting a deal. Yeah. And the broker owner can say, hey, I got a deal for you.
I'm providing value for you.
I'm providing value.
Yeah.
And then he's getting mass users on so he can find out where all the problems are and the kinks. Plus he's getting brand awareness. And then eventually you can up the level of paying membership. And then he just got acquired. Right. Yeah. So
it's as easy as that for anyone listening, right? Yeah. No, it's a good point. I mean, going back just quickly to that foot out the door, I think you end up doing neither well, and people sense it and all that. And sometimes the best thing too is to have those tough conversations, right? Is to say, hey, actually, if people can sense it, sometimes they even appreciate that conversation of saying, hey, you know what, I do have some of my focus over here, but here's the plan, right? And maybe the plan is to eventually go all the way over, but hey, if I go over here, then I'm going to be looking to someone on the team right now to kind of fill in my shoes or whatever it might be. But having that honest conversation and reducing that ambiguity goes so far.
I love you guys are in SaaS Academy. That's awesome. It's I was in it, man, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago. It's right when it was at its infancy, I think.
It looks like he's grown it a lot now. We went down to one of his conferences in Austin maybe 4 months ago. We're attending one next week. He's doing it virtual. Yeah. He's doing 2 in person, 1 virtual. But yeah, honestly, like
we went down to that conference. Maybe?
At least. And I mean, we went down to the conference in Austin, came back with 3 ideas, implemented them, and they've paid for a year worth of the course, honestly. And I mean, he knows that he charges good money and people sign up. So we've loved it.
I don't need 20 ideas. I need 1 or 2. And we signed up to his, after we met him, he had a coaching program, which we did for a year after. There was so much stuff in there, and you get on a call with him once a week.
We don't have that.
So much stuff. Like we only needed to implement a couple little things. And one of them was hiring a fractional CMO. So we went and did that. We went and sourced out a CMO. We chose Dana Derricks, who's a Dream 100 guy who was under Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. ClickFunnels, I think that's in the ecosystem too, right? The SaaS. Yeah.
That's 100% in there. And that's probably the biggest success story.
I think
on the SaaS side out of what they've done. But it's intriguing, man, that whole world, but it's also, I know what I don't know. And there are sharks swimming in there. So I'm like, I'm just going to stay in my world, which is the Canadian mortgage industry, which I know really well, and I'm well networked and getting better by the day. And I'm just going to keep doing my thing here. And I'm not trying to own the world here and just take little snippets here, because we tried to dabble in the States, going to the US, and it's a different beast, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's
We
different.
had the same experience. It's yeah, it's tough, right? It's just different lingo, but different culture, different
Dog eat
different everything.
dog,
So,
smaller
yeah,
margins, more competition,
yeah.
tougher to get market share.
And a lot more people just throwing money at ideas, right? I think that's much
Yeah.
more the model where it's like, let's go out, raise 10 million bucks and just throw it at something and burn this thing to the ground. Either in 3 years it's going to burn to the ground, or it's going to boom, go up. And I mean,
Well,
that's a
because
model,
they get it
right?
right, it's a home run. If you
Yeah,
get it right in
exactly.
Canada, it's not necessarily a home run, because the
No,
market in our
it's a
industry
double.
it's only so big,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So there
yeah.
you're up against, a lot of awesome software ideas. In Canada, we're archaic. We're behind the times.
Sure,
So, but there's opportunity there.
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
There's opportunity to come
And
in with,
you don't have to swing for the fences either, right? You
nope,
can, yeah, you can hit the
nope.
doubles, right? Or hit the
And you don't
singles,
necessarily
play
need
the small ball.
investors.
No,
Here
yeah,
you need more contacts, because there's only so
Yeah.
many players. In the US, there's a lot of players to
yeah.
get you access to platforms and
And it's just a
networks
bigger
and
market, right?
brokerages.
Like that's another
Yeah.
thing. Like the Canadian mortgage market, we don't know everyone, but it's once we got in here, we realized it's not as big as we thought, right? Like from the outside looking in, it was this big scary thing, and now we're kind of in, and it's like, whoa, hey, you know what? We know this person who knows this person. Hey, this is
Yeah.
this is a smaller world than we thought, right?
Easier to
Yeah,
network,
totally.
like
Yeah,
quicker if you do it right, but
Yeah.
also the flip side, easier to burn a lot of bridges if you screw up.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. Okay, Ryan. Well, maybe I don't know. Just wrap things up. We were kind of talking a little bit about coaching with on the SaaS side, and Dan, and he's got a great thing there. But of course, you guys have Strategy Hub, and I think that's a bit newer than VIP Club. I'm not sure, but I guess how did that? I guess similar thought or similar question would be like, did that kind of come organically? Is it something? It sounded like coaching was something you always wanted to do, and now obviously you're doing it, but how do you see that, and how does it? I'm always curious. How does it relate to VIP Club, or is it not at all? I mean, is it just more, hey, you know what, to the clients that you do coach, there's this product that we know works really well, or how do you kind of see that work together in your world? How does that all come together?
Quickly tell you how Strategy Hub came about. So I was coaching in Scott Peckford's 10 Loans a Month program. I was one of his coaches, and then eventually he went off to build bricks, and so I purchased 10 loans from him. And I was taking it down as sales and marketing, just strictly sales and marketing, social media focused training. And Jason had started Strategy Hub probably 3, 4, 5 months before that, and teaching advanced mortgage strategies and giving done for you marketing tools for people. And we said, hey, why don't we combine the two? So then in December, January, so just a couple months ago, we decided to bring the two platforms together. And we brought them together under Strategy Hub. And so now we have two levels. We have a $100 a month level, called a pro level, which you can come and go as you like. And it's sales marketing with a little mortgage strategies. And then we have an elite level, which is $5,000 a year, which is more advanced strategies done for you, more coaching in there. We run everything off the Mighty Networks platform.
Mighty Network?
Mighty Networks. Yeah, that's what Martel runs his training off of.
Okay.
His coaching off of. So we took it
It's one
from
of those
there.
community things. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, community thing. And we do that.
Yeah.
And then in 6 months, we've gotten up to 450 plus agents,
Wow.
which is awesome. All organic. We're very excited about that. And so that's training. And then we just came out of doing some live shows in Toronto, Vancouver. We have one in Edmonton next week. And we're teaching strategies in person with people. So we did 100 brokers last week in person, a seminar type event, a 1-day thing. So we're just trying to get the brand out there. And the VIP Club really isn't tied in, but what we do, we allow our sales teams to use each with the other. So if they're upselling or downselling, or someone's on the fence, like, well, what if we threw this in? As normally it's $250 a month. What if we give it to you for $50 a month for the first year? And so it really allows us to package things up, because we each own both companies the same. So it falls
Two separate companies, but same ownership. Yeah.
Same ownership, two separate companies. So we're really, it gives us a lot of flexibility to either cross market to, and same as our email lists, we cross market to our email lists. We both have, I think we have about 14,000 mortgage brokers in Canada on our list.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Wow.
booming. Yeah.
It's like more than half the industry. I would
I
say.
think the industry is a lot less than that. Yeah, I think the true numbers are 15 to 18, somewhere in there.
I've always said
Oh, yeah?
20,000. Okay,
Yeah.
you say 15.
I've heard so
Yeah.
many different
Yeah.
numbers. Yeah.
I'm
And
sure the last couple of years, a few people have
Well, it depends how you define it too,
packed
right?
it in.
Is it everyone who holds a license? Because you can hold a license and do one deal a
Do
year,
one a
right?
year.
Are you doing? It's
Yeah.
tough to.
So yeah, we let both companies kind of prop each other up, and it does really help with sales when we're talking to people and being able to throw in offers. Hey, I have a free 90-day offer, 30-day offer, because we have full control of the numbers on each side.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it works. I don't know, man. It works really well. We're
Good.
just kind of humming along, just getting started, but it's built on tech, like on Mighty Networks, which is
Yeah.
like, right. And we host all of our training on there, all of our coaching. There's a community on there. And then the VIP club, we're taking off of MailChimp and
Oh, wow.
built our own off of Create Send. We call it broker mail. So we have like our own little CRM. It doesn't track data points. It's more just a marketing CRM, like a traditional MailChimp type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So we have that packaged in with some other stuff. So yeah, that's what we do.
No, it's it's quite the journey, right? It's pretty organic. It seemed that you took steps, but it seems that each one of those steps that you took along the way, I mean, you took a pretty big leap of faith, I think, with each of them, right? I mean, even I think with your brokering, kind of doing the strategy that you did, and then making this decision maybe not to do brokering, and then going in and writing a check for VIP Club. I mean, that's a risk, and then going ahead and now doing this. It's like each one of those steps, there was that pretty big leap of faith. Like, I mean, how did you think through that? Was it just like, hey, I have no option. I know that if I don't want to be brokering together, I got to do this. Like, how did you kind of psych yourself up, or what was your internal dialogue at each one of these steps? Is it just always been your personality to be kind of that type of person, jump in with both feet? Like, how do you think about these things?
Well, number one, and this is for everybody, I had to get my wife on board.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
She's like, I had so many email addresses from all the companies. She's like, can we like make it for this year, our New Year's resolution, Operation One email address? Email address, and then my attention's everywhere. And she's like, can you just like bring it
Please.
home, please?
Yeah.
So getting her on board, and she's massive supporter, and telling her we're going to shut down a wildly successful mortgage business that allows us to do
quite
a
the
lot
conversation,
of cool
I'm
things.
sure. Yeah.
It is, but she also saw how unhappy I was. And so she was like, just, can you grind it out for a couple of years? Let's make a bunch of money, and then spread your wings. And in the meantime, be hustling on the side to set yourself up for that. And I said, yeah, if you're signing off on that, then that's the plan I'm going to do. And then I did it. And I've always been a risk taker, because for me, it's the worst case is I can always go back. I can always go back to brokering. Yeah. I can have that model up and running in 2 months.
Yeah.
I would know how to do it way better now too. So
well,
I can always go
right?
back.
Yeah.
I can always go back. What's the worst that can happen? I work more now than I've ever worked, but I'm also happier than I've ever been. Yeah, I feel like if I was to quit now, I'd just be letting down the industry. And I'm not doing that. And so we're here. We're gonna build this thing.
I think it's a cool lesson hearing about that, where you hear these books. Tim Ferriss he was the 5-hour work week, so you didn't quite get it there, but you were down to 12. You're getting there. You're at 12 hours or whatever.
I was 12. So he was 4. Yeah.
He was 4. Yeah, 4. Damn. Yeah. Okay, I got the name wrong. But I think there's kind of that thing, a bit of a stigma, not stigma. I don't know what the right word is, but there's like, I want to be Tim Ferriss. I want to be drinking the pina coladas and check my email an hour a day, and that's that. And for some people maybe, but I mean, I would say, especially if you're trying to start something, I know I'm this way. I think, Massimo, you're the same way. Like, we were talking about our coach. Again, we're talking about these coaches. They asked us, what would your, business or your life look like if you didn't have, BluMortgage to work on as you are? And we both said we'd be like insanely bored. We would be like, we'd be bugging everyone. We'd be like hitting our head through a wall. And we work, I don't know, whatever, 60-hour weeks. Like, we're not like, we're working hard and we're not doing 80 hours a week. But it's good work. But if it's fulfilling, it doesn't feel, I mean, it sounds
No.
cliche, of course, but if it's fulfilling, you want to do it. And it feeds itself, right? It's like this positive feedback loop. If I can just do
You
a
get
little
some
bit of
crazy
work here.
momentum. You
Yeah.
get momentum
Yeah.
from it. And is your plan to stay in the Canadian mortgage industry? Is that the
Yeah.
goal?
Yeah.
We dabbled with the States, as Tom said, just as kind of an experiment. And the whole mortgage market's different down there with renewals, all that stuff. They buy quickly, and they were buying quickly. We're like, holy shit, we hit the jackpot. And then they all canceled in like 2 weeks. So they also cancel quickly. So short answer is, yeah, we're here to stay. Yeah, we're not.
We think if we were, and just given all the thing we were talking about the competition, we feel if we wanted to make that move, we'd have to go out, sell half the company, get a VC firm to come in, change the whole architecture and the whole nature of what we do. And it's a path that some people choose, but I don't think that's for us. And it's like you were saying with the Canadian market, we see a ton of value. We're really building up, the connections, and we feel that we have, a good grip on this industry, and there's still a lot to be done here. So, and kind of to your last point, it sounds a little silly, but yeah, we feel that we owe it to the market to, there's so many platforms that, we're American based that are just adopted to Canada, or Canadian companies then move to the States, and we're kind of just left with whatever's left. And we feel a bit
You're
of
Canadian grown, Canadian built. Do you weave that into any of your marketing? The
try
Canadian
to.
aspect, Canadian
Not a
grown?
ton, but maybe we should. I don't know.
It's definitely not a front runner, but we do. It's more like we mention it when people ask, I guess, to be honest. Do you think that would be more of a value prop to people?
I don't know. I don't think it would move the needle on anything, but I
Okay.
think it's one of those things. It's just it is a cool thing to say. Where do you get the majority of your leads from?
Pretty big SEO effort, and then referrals.
Referrals.
But we do,
Gotcha.
CRM for mortgage broker, we're like number one.
Yeah, the SEO has been a 5-year journey, 4-year journey of continual, and you know how SEO is. So
Yeah.
but now we're top ranked. It took a while, but yeah, we get a fair amount from there.
Yeah.
And now since we're connected to everyone, like Velocity, Filogix, all that stuff, we're kind of the Switzerland, and so everyone in some way from those vendors as well find us. So, but a lot of referrals. Like Tom said, it's a small industry. We were kind of, oh my gosh, 20,000. And then as we started going to all these conferences and galas and meeting people through demos, it became a lot smaller within like 6 months. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're like, if you're working the hours you're working, at some point, like this goes on cruise control a bit. At some point, like there's got to be a number you hit, and obviously not asking for that, but there's probably a number where the innovation can slow down on what you're doing.
Yeah, there is, and we're trying to get Dan to help us get that cruise control more aligned. Some of the challenges we've been facing are customer service, trying to get that level up and to a standard that is best in the industry, and we've made big strides, but we've had a lot of challenges. But on the innovation side, it's like kind of what you're saying. It's like we've integrated with every vendor or LOS. Filogix, all that. We bring all the fields that people want for all of them. Sometimes they ask for a couple extra. Like it's not like we could make up a new vendor. Like they're all we've done it all. So now it's just honestly polish. So to your point, I think we are approaching that from a development standpoint.
Yeah, which will be an interesting new perspective, or I guess situation to be in. Yeah, and like Massimo said, we're trying to say, okay, well, what's the right polish? Where do you want to do it? Or hey, do we want to start doing new things like this? Right, this podcast is relatively new. Start having more conversations with people, understand what they're doing. How can we work together better, things like that. So it's I mean, it's that's part of what's exciting, is that as we have different life cycles, there's new challenges, and we're definitely feeling that we're starting to hit that new part of that life cycle that you picked up on, which is cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, I can share some stuff with you, some ideas. I know I have a lot of our students use Blue.
Great.
It comes up quite a bit I run email marketing training,
Nice.
database marketing training. I run a lot of that. And so, that's like people they want to talk about CRMs.
Yeah. Nice.
Which I'm cool to talk about. I like that. I love that stuff.
Yeah. I love it.
So very cool. We can chat offline about that.
Yeah, sure. Well,
Awesome.
I mean, that's maybe a good point as any to to wrap things up, I really do appreciate this time, Ryan. Like I said at the beginning, we hadn't chatted before this, but this was pretty fun. It was cool to hear about your journey, and a lot of overlap, which is kind of cool to hear of trying these new things and feeling the commitment to the Canadian mortgage industry. So I really appreciated it and getting your insights, and of course our Dan Martell connection that we found out. So that was cool too. But appreciate the time. Hopefully this won't be the last convo that we have. Love to stay in touch. But for everyone listening, I really appreciate your time. If you found this conversation valuable, please like, subscribe, maybe share with one friend, one broker colleague if they find that interesting. That's how we grow, one person at a time. So leave it at that. But thanks again, Ryan. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Sweet. Thanks, Tom. Massimo. Appreciate it, man.
See you guys.
Bye.